Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very well and enjoying the weekend, a weekend of peace. No football this weekend, no Chelsea. Um, Listen, it's a bit weird, isn't it, not having any games on, but that's where we are at the moment, and we will try and enjoy it while we can because, look, we're in for a hefty ride, and many times as a Chelsea fan, I've been looking forward to watching the team. I've been extremely confident going into the end of any season that we're going to finish in a good position. I don't feel like that at the moment, and I'm sure many Chelsea fans will agree with me. I'm sure there'll also be optimistic fans, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being optimistic at all, but we are doing some very strange things in the market. We are really confusing to support and follow. I don't understand a lot of what Chelsea does these days. I mean, I understand it more now so than I did maybe a couple of months ago, because now I know that everything is for the financial gain of our ownerships, apart from just the footballing side, which is what we've been used to. And that's fine, because at least we have clarity on that now. Now we know that that's the situation, isn't it? So big up to everyone that's watching. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. And we're going to go through all of the latest news regarding Chelsea. One of the big highlights at the moment is the goalkeeping situation. How many goalkeepers we have, how many goalkeepers we're going to continue to have. Are we looking to sell anyone, or are we looking to bring anyone else in? So we've had a few updates based on that within the past sort of 24 hours. And to be honest with you, a lot of the it's all the same, to be quite frank. When you look at all the different reports, they all circle around and they basically say the same thing. So it might be worth me just sharing my screen with you so that you can see. But we have however many goalkeepers at this club. We've got to be in the double digits now. And here we are. This is the situation in terms of our goalkeepers. So you had Nizar Kinsella coming out saying Chelsea are not currently planning on signing a new goalkeeper in the summer. Robert Sanchez, Philip Jorgensen, and Jordi Petrovic are competing to be number one next season. Genk goalkeeper Mike Penders will join in the summer and is highly rated. So what that seems to mean is that Mike Penders will be going out on loan, presumably to Strasbourg. And you've got Jorgensen, Sanchez, and Petrovic competing for that number one spot. Now, if I had to say off the top of my head, you'd have Petrovic as the starter, and then you would have Jorgensen as the number two with Sanchez as the number three, maybe even the number four, because I'd rather have Bettinelli ahead of Sanchez. Then you had another report from none other than Kaves Sohekol, who's from Sky. He's one of the reporters from there. Chelsea will not sign a new goalkeeper this summer. They have confidence in the four goalkeepers who are competing to be their number one next season. Philip Jorgensen and Mike Penders, who's on loan at Genk, both regarded as potential elite goalkeepers. Robert Sanchez and Jordi Petrovic, who's on loan at Strasbourg, also competing to be number one. Chelsea believe they have a high-quality goalkeeping department, and they have full confidence in the goalkeepers that they have signed. Then again, Ben Jacobs. Chelsea have no plans to sign a new goalkeeper this summer. Robert Sanchez, Philip Jorgensen, and Jordi Petrovic and Mike Penders all seen as capable of competing for the number one spot. Petrovic will have a boost in wage if he returns to Chelsea and is having an excellent season with Strasbourg. Penders is viewed as highly rated, and although young, capable of taking to the Premier League style of football very quickly. So you're having a lot of the same things from all these different journalists. Then again, you have another one, Kieran Gill, just to cement that this is obviously this is public news now, isn't it? Chelsea not planning on signing another goalkeeper in the summer. Jorgensen and Mike Penders, blah, 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 blah. You get what I'm saying. So the point is that we are not going to be signing a goalkeeper. Chelsea are happy with what they have, and they believe that they have enough competition of number one, and we have an elite line of goalkeepers. Was that the word that was used earlier? Was it elite? What was the word? Not this one. They believe they have a high quality goalkeeping department. I'm not sure about that. I don't know if high quality is what I would say, but we have plenty of goalkeepers. Let's just say that. Oh, it's my screen. Yeah, so that's where we are from a goalkeeping situation. Not to mention Kepa. I mean, I've just seen that comment as well. Big up to everyone that's watching. Let's see what we have to say in the chat. Big up to Tom. I hope you're doing well. Afternoon, Alex. Frank Lampard's commentary now in the playoffs of the Championship. Absolutely fantastic. Big up to Frank. I am rooting for Coventry. I would love them to get promoted with Frank Lampard. He has a great record in the Championship for a manager who's not really done much there, but he did great things at Derby. And looking at where the club is now, it makes you appreciate how good he was for Derby. Oh, I'm so tired. And he's doing a great job at Coventry as well. So big up to him. Aaron says, all of our keepers, even the ones on loan, I don't trust any of them with the ball at their feet. Interesting you say that, because I think that Petrovic has actually impressed a lot with his distribution at Strasbourg. Distribution. And that's something that I've heard from him, and I'm very glad that I've heard that, because it's not something that you would necessarily align with a player such as Petrovic. But from what I hear, his distribution has been sensational recently. It's been really, really good. And his player ratings as well have been top notch, to be quite frank. So I've been really, really happy with what I've seen from him. So let's have a look at SofaScore's a great app for this. You've also got Transfer Market if you want to see more in depth in terms of goals, etc. But SofaScore is generally quite an accurate site for ratings. Now bear in mind, this guy is 25 years old. Now, as a goalkeeper, that's very, very young. You can have goalkeepers that play up until 40, right? So we've got potentially a keeper who could be at the club for another 10 years. And I believe that he's capable of being Chelsea's number one. Currently his value is about 8.5 million, roughly the same as what we bought him for anyway, because this is euros. I presume we paid in pounds for him. It was about 14 million that we paid. No outstanding weaknesses according to this. I mean, to be fair, I'd have to agree with that. But if you look at the last 12 months, his average scores have been sensational. That is exceptional. Because why am I saying that? You have a guy who never lets the team down. What more could you ask for from a goalkeeper than someone who basically just does his job week in, week out? His average rating in Liga is 7.27. Now, when he was playing in the Premier League, it was 6.95. Now, he only made 10 appearances compared to the 20 in Liga. I think it's impressive. It really is impressive. Even if you look at his Premier League, it's basically around what it was anyway. Stats aren't everything. And with a number of players as well, you have to ignore stats because sometimes they don't look that great. But I think with Petrovic, yeah, you have to appreciate that he's a good player. And we've got Benny joining us today as well. How are you doing, Benny?
Good, buddy. How are you? You all right?
I'm all right, mate. We had some technical difficulties, but we're okay now, are we?
Yeah, well, the laptop didn't end up working. It never does for me. I might have to bring it over to you, Alex, so you can fix it.
I'll sort you out, Benny. I'll sort you out.
I don't know. Every time I try and it just doesn't do it for me. I don't know why. Phone, no issues. But anyway, we're here.
Benny, what's your thoughts on our keepers? I mean, Aaron says that he doesn't trust any of them with the ball at their feet.
Yeah, I was looking at this last night because I seen the thing come out about we're not in the hunt for a new keeper. etc., etc. I think I personally think Petrovic is our best way to go for next season, if what they're saying is true, and we're not going to go out and buy a keeper. I can't. Sanchez is not good enough. We all know that. Jorgensen, in fairness to the bloke, he hasn't had much of a run, but when you're making mistakes like he did against Villa, just simple little mistakes that you're in the top flight. Those mistakes shouldn't be happening. So Petrovic would be the one for me. I don't even know why we got rid of him in the first place. In to be honest, I don't understand why we let him out on loan.
No, I don't either. I mean, presumably they just thought he needed more time to develop, and they thought that Sanchez was capable, but he's obviously not. And Jorgensen hasn't really stepped up to the plate, to be quite frank.
No.
I mean, Jorgensen certainly deserves more of a chance. There's no doubt in my mind about that. If you're going to give Sanchez as long as you've given him half of a season, over half a season, then Jorgensen he's got to finish the season as the number one. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But when Petrovic comes back, there should be no doubt about that either. And then you loan out either Jorgensen or Mike Penders to Strasbourg, and that would be a viable solution for their development, because they need game time. It's a good level, Strasbourg. You'll have you'll have European football as well. And I think it'll make a big difference. I just want to quickly just reply to a super chat. Big up to Anthony. I hope you're doing well, mate. He says, big up, Alex. As a Milan supporter, I will tell you that if Maresca is wanting a winger who can help out defensively, then Leao is not the right guy for that role. The reason he's saying that is because Chelsea are being linked with Rafael Leao at the moment. Apparently, we've inquired about the player. I don't know if you've heard of this, Benny. It's an article that's come out regarding 86 Longo and Daniel Longo, who's a Italian journalist. And Get Italian Football News has also reported it as well. So I'll just share my screen on that briefly, and then we'll go back to the goalkeepers. So this is what they've said. Chelsea have made contact to find out about Rafael Leao's situation ahead of the summer transfer window. Jorge Mendes will be key. AC Milan do not view Leao as unsellable. So if we go on that article, I don't know if it's in Italian or not. Is it Italian or is it? Oh, it's English. Okay, it's English.
It looks English. So
there they go. They've said we've made initial contact for him. Daniel Longo has reported today that Chelsea are convinced about the Portuguese's abilities, despite a rather frustrating season in a Rossoneri's shirt. Because of that, they have made an initial attempt to know more about his situation at the San Siro. He is represented by Jorge Mendes, who also manages João Felix. The forward has joined Milan on a loan deal late in the winter transfer window, and he is expected to return to Chelsea in the summer. The connection could be vital for the Blues, and Mendes will be key in making sure that the two clubs can find an agreement for Leao or not. At the moment, the potential move is at the very initial stages, but it is clear that Chelsea are interested. Milan do not see Leao as an unsellable player, and that can prove important for Maresca's side. Is there anything else to it? No, that's it. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I think that Leao's a good player. I have to agree with you, Anthony, though. I mean, he doesn't. When I've watched Leao, he doesn't look like a player who tracks back much or puts in a shift defensively. I'm sure he still works hard in his own right, and he's talented. But we always talk about balance with Maresca. He loves balance, and if balance is the key, then it doesn't seem like Leao is the right option. But I say that as well. He is more ready-made than anyone else that we could be linked with in that position. I'd rather him than Garnacho. So, what do you think about it?
Yeah. I agree. Look, you know what? Ever since this protest come out, well, ever since the lads done the protest, we've been linked with all better players. But how convenient that is. We've been linked with better players ever since a bit of word and a bit of kerfuffle from the fans has happened, and now we're linked with better. Like the Liam Delat interest now, and whether that was always there or not. I think it was at some point. But, I mean, whether they do it or not is another story. I'm a bit like you now. I'm a bit downbeat, and I don't know where the board is going, what trust we have in them. I got none. Because for all we know, we might go sign another 3 goalkeepers again, and then we haven't done what we needed to do. I don't know.
I don't think we're going to be signing any more goalkeepers, Benny. I mean, that's been reported. And to be quite frank, I do believe that there is PR. I'm 100%. I'm in agreement that there is PR. But PR is part of something. But there is journalism as well. I mean, there is actual journalism. The 4 journalists said the same thing. And that tells me that we won't sign a goalkeeper. I mean, why else would they report that? They've obviously been told it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
by this.
Yeah, that is true. I guess it's just more one of those things where we've done that many mistakes in the transfer windows these days. I don't know what's the next mistake that we're going to make. I think that's the fear now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, man. We'll see. I mean, big up to you, Anthony. Thanks for the super chat, mate. I appreciate it. Interesting response as well. The Demonat says, why is the priority with attacking players tracking back and defensive work? This is annoying. And I guess we go back to Maresca, isn't it? This is what he talks about. He talks about balance. He wants players that will track back. That's why Madueke played more than other players at times, because defensively he's done quite well. Even if up top he's not been quite as effective. That's why Pedro Neto is such an asset. And it's something that Maresca clearly values. But I mean, Benny, do you think that we need to sort of be more relaxed and maybe look for a player who won't do as much defensively, but who will offer more on the other end of the pitch?
I think if you look at both sides of things, I understand where is it Demonat? Sorry if I didn't say that correctly. I understand where he's coming from, because you want to have players that can just score, can change the game and do it with a click of a finger. And I think we don't actually have that. But then there's another side to it where good teams can do both, attack and defend, and everyone in that team does their role and does their bit to help the team. So it's a hard one to pick. But I think if you look at successful teams, Real Madrid's and things like that, and when we had Mourinho and things like that as a manager, have a look at those teams, and not everyone in that team could score, but everyone could defend and work for each other. So I think it's important to have the defensive work there rather than the attack. I know it's going to sound silly, because if you don't attack, you can't win games. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? What's your take on it?
To be honest, I'm slightly with Maresca on this one, because although it is annoying that it's a priority, it's going to be more annoying when you have a player who won't track back and then we can see goals. Because ultimately someone's going to click at some point. So you want them to click in a system that they're actually designed to play in. So if we're signing a player who's not even built for the system we're trying to do and implement, and the manager is clearly very stringent on that, he doesn't want to adapt, then that's fine. But sign players for that system. There's a lot of players that we've had in the past that would have really suited Maresca. I think Jorginho would have done well in this system. I think Kovacic would have done really well. Who else? Maybe not Marcus. No, not so much Matic. No, because you want players who can play with the ball. Caicedo's great with the ball as well. And Kovacic, he can bring the ball up. He can get past the press. You've got Jorginho, who's great at soaking up possession, slowing down the games as well, helping you to control the game.
Fabregas
would have been great. in this system. So there's a lot of players that can fit well in the system. I mean, we're talking about centre mids here. I mean, if we look at wingers, for example, Pedro would have been great. I think Willian would have been fine in this system as well. So there are players who can do that and still offer a goal threat and a creative threat. But you want the best of both worlds, don't you? You want players
I think so. I think overall, I think to answer that question, I think you've got to have both in a player. I think you've got to have both in a player. It's the only way to get the best out of the team for everyone, if that makes sense. There's no good of just having someone that attacks and doesn't help the team defend. That's just it's gonna fall apart, isn't it? Yeah, I think you've got to have both. I think it is annoying at times, but as well as when you picked up on Pedro Neto, I think that's something that I like from Pedro Neto a lot, and I don't think he gets credited enough. He works really hard when he loses the ball, like really hard. Like I think that I know the indication in some games, like you just watch him and 1 minute he's near the goal scoring, and then the other minute he's backtracked and got the ball back. I think you need that. I think it's important to have that.
100%, mate. 100%. I mean, we're gonna go back onto the goalkeeping situation as well. So we'll just see what some of the people say about that. Neil, big up to you. He said Petrovic is number one. Fingers crossed. I hope so, mate. I really do. Does that mean Kepa on a permanent deal at Bournemouth? I mean, I hope so. To be quite frank, get rid of him. He is better than what we have at the moment. I'm not going to say he's better than Jorgensen. He is more proven than Jorgensen, but Kepa's still an average goalkeeper. So that is not the standard we're looking for. Varner says, big up, Alex. I prefer Petrovic number one, Sanchez number two, Penders number three, loan Jorgensen to Strasbourg for game time. Fair play to you, mate. That's not a bad thing. But that's only if you can't sell Sanchez, which we won't, because I don't think anyone's paying more than what we paid for Sanchez. So fair play to you. Tom says, I've seen a statistic the other day that Petrovic's passing out from the back was like 81%, Jorgensen 74%. You are correct, my friend. That might even be higher. His passing stats have been sensational. This is the thing, isn't it? Is that Petrovic is a player that you can make great money on. But there's only so much you can financially there's only so much you could look up the finances before you realize you are really fucking the club. And for me, Petrovic is a stable goalkeeper who needs to be at Chelsea. He needs to stay at Chelsea. Like, it's hard to find a good goalkeeper. We've got one, so stop fucking around.
I also think with Petrovic and some of the things that I've read on him, like he actually wants to strive at Chelsea. He said, I want to go back to Chelsea and be number one. And for me, as a fan, and if I was a manager, that's what you want to hear from a player. Go somewhere, he's doing well there and still wants to be part of where he first began. Well, not first began, but wants to be a difference in the Chelsea. You need players like that. You need to keep players like that. Why is it? And this is what annoys me, because there's so many players that get looked past on. With Chalobah's another one. Like, if I was Trevor Chalobah, I would have told the club to shove one.
I would have done the same thing, mate.
The way
you think I'm playing for Chelsea after the way you've treated me?
Yeah,
no way.
And it's like you need, and yet he still comes back, tries to perform as good as he can, does a job, coming from a team that he was starting every game in Palace, and probably felt like he was wanted at Palace, and then we've asked him to come back. How would he feel? But he still goes out there and tries his best. But you need players like that. Like, you need someone that's going to come back and go, I love this club. I want to play for this club. And I don't think we have enough of those players at this present time. And then that goes back to leaderships and all the above. So there's so much that we don't talk about every day. But leading back to Petrovic, I think he's got to come back and be our number one. I do believe that. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm still shocked that and this is probably another bit where I think Maresca made a mistake with as a manager. Like, surely he's watched 8 to 9 games of the end of last season when Petrovic came in for Sanchez. Doesn't that tell you something? If the last manager dropped Sanchez, doesn't that show? Wouldn't that show to a new manager to go, oh, hang on, I don't think Sanchez is the number one keeper. I think we and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we don't see something that in training that we don't know about. But mate, like 8 games of our last 10 or whatever, he played in, and look at the results. Look how much better the stadium was calm. I remember being at the games with you, and the calmness when Petrovic was in goal, it was so refreshing to see.
Oh, definitely.
So
just having a safe pair of hands and a safe pair of feet goes a long way. You don't even have to do anything special.
No.
Just stop messing around.
Yeah. What did you this is a quick one actually. What did you take from Maresca's comment when he said, if you go long, I will bench you, I'll drop you?
Well, he said it before, so it's not a new comment. He said the same thing to Sanchez when he was playing, and now he's saying that to Jorgensen. I've got nothing against it. I don't have anything against it, but listen, that is the way you want to play. Fine. Like, no problem. Just win, and then I won't have an issue. But we won't win.
Well,
we won't win because our manager is I'm sorry, he's not good enough based on what I've seen. Anyone who picks Robert Sanchez as the number one for the majority of the season, I'm sorry, you're not all there. Like, you can't. How you can see that guy who's made mistakes at every single club he's been at and been just as bad up until the age of 27, 28, whatever he is right now, and you're telling me he's better than all the other keepers. He's worth investing in instead of a young goalkeeper who we build our team around young players, and you have a manager who wants to back a so-called experienced, proven player who's never actually proven himself. He's less proven than Jorgensen and Petrovic and Mike Penders. He's more proven to be a bum. That's the truth.
No,
he's crap.
No,
I don't understand. As a manager, how can you do that? And that was the big thing for me with Maresca. That was like, nah. Honestly, if he hadn't have played Sanchez, I could still be behind Maresca. Like, I'd probably have more patience. But that was the final straw for me.
I think you're 100% right. I started questioning him about it and started thinking, okay, maybe he's just not good enough as a manager because and to be honest, I liked Maresca at the start. I thought it was brilliant what he was doing and things like that. But then there's things that he said that I don't like. And then there's also little things in the games that I haven't liked. And how many, and again, we go back on the mistakes from Sanchez. How many times do you make a mistake and make a mistake and make a mistake and still get picked? I don't understand that. I don't get it. Because, okay, you make one mistake every 5 games, fair enough. Every good goalkeeper might do that. But you're making a mistake every game and you don't change? Okay, why? What's the reason for that? Because you've got a stubbornness about you. You want to prove something? What's your going behind that? Because after 2-3 games, you've made the same mistakes, and mate, unfortunately, you get pulled aside and you go, sorry, but you have to be dropped. But you allowed him to play. And it only took you 20-odd games into the season and in fairness, he's only probably done that change because the media and everybody else started hacking into him about it. And he's probably thought, okay, maybe I just make this change not because I want to, but maybe I need to do something so it looks like I'm taking the board. But I think, yeah.
Who knows? I mean, it's interesting as well. Politics could come into it with Robert Sanchez. I personally don't think that it was politics because we also signed Jorgensen and we also signed other goalkeepers. It's not like Sanchez is the only goalkeeper that was signed under this regime. We had other goalkeepers that we signed. So for it to be politics that would be a disaster if it was politics. And that's a testament to how badly Chelsea are being run. And we are being run into the ground. It's an absolute disgrace the way the club's been run. But I genuinely think that it's the manager for Sanchez. I don't believe it's politics because he's changed it now. He's changed it, and he could have changed it, and he could have had a good excuse to change it. And there you go. But who knows? We'll see. Listen, I want to dive into Petrovic a little bit more. An article that come out actually quite recently, 2-3 days ago, in February. It's all about not Robert Sanchez. It's about Petrovic, and obviously we are ruining the departure of Petrovic, and we've suffered so many. It says we've suffered a series of goalkeeping woes this season, with Maresca forced to drop Robert Sanchez in favour of Jorgensen. But Jorgensen has been far from effective in between the posts, with the former Villarreal shot stopper conceding a hatful of goals when called upon and making some mistakes as well. I mean, it's not just goals that we're conceding. Now, the truth is that we could have avoided all of this, and this is what the article alludes to, if we'd have just kept Petrovic at the bridge. But instead, we decided not to. He had 22 games under Pochettino last season. He surpassed Robert Sanchez as the number one, but he was reinstated then under Maresca, and obviously Petrovic was sent out to Strasbourg, and he's been a revelation. That's what they're saying. He was man of the match on Sunday last week as Strasbourg held Brest to a 0-0 draw, and it was the third clean show in a row, and now we're Strasbourg are in 7th in Liga, which is fantastic for them, by the way. Really, really good for them. Now, also, if we look at Petrovic, he is yet to make any errors that have led to either a shot or a goal, despite playing more passes than any other goalkeeper in Europe's top 5 leagues.
Says it all.
You understand how amazing that is? That is so fantastic what I'm hearing right now about a goalkeeper. Why is this goalkeeper not playing for Chelsea? He's not yet to make an error. Not even, look, forget a goal. He hasn't even led to a shot. He hasn't even made half a mistake, let alone a mistake. Absolutely fantastic. And people are saying that you can't fucking play this guy because of his distribution. I'm sorry, it's a disgrace. Liam Rosner's system is actually more risky than what Enzo Maresca wants. He's got Petrovic on the halfway line when they play. For fuck's sake. So all of these people saying that you don't have a goalkeeper with Petrovic is going to be capable of playing the way that Maresca wants you to play, passing the ball out from the back, the little chip passes, someone's going to lose possession. Bullshit. And in January, Liam Rosner, the manager, said, we have seen huge progress from Petro. He's a world-class goalkeeper. We see it every day, and it's still paying off today. I mean, there you go. And if that doesn't give you an incentive at Chelsea Football Club to play this guy, then I don't know what does.
Yeah, I think, yes. I mean, again, I watched him at the bridge a few times last season, actually multiple times, and every time he played, my heart was so much. I felt so different when he was in goal. Felt so different, and it's not because we hate Sanchez, because I don't hate him, and I don't hate Jorgensen either. But unfortunately, this is our team, and this is a sport business, and we want to see the best for our team. And I don't think Jorgensen and Sanchez is what we need. And it just shows that. It's shown that all season. We don't have a keeper that we can rely on, and. I mean, you look at the game against, and I go back to this game because I was speaking to my uncle about it. Even though we won that game against Wolves 3-1 at home. Now I know we won, but when they equalised 1-1 because of Sanchez's drop mistake. Now I'm not saying we would have lost that game, But they're little things that you got to look at. Because if we didn't have the quality that we had, we threw that game away, that is all because of an unled mistake from no pressure, no nothing, all because of Sanchez, all because of not like he's just not good enough, and that is just as simple as that. And then you've got to watch other games, City, and I mean I think there's 5 or 6 games. I think he's the most errors in Europe. Like stats don't lie, and if that is the stat, which it is, what are we doing? We shouldn't next year. We should not be seeing Sanchez in goal. That's it. I think that's reality of it now. He's had 2 or 3 seasons, 2 and a bit seasons now, not 3. But since this ownership has taken over, he's been there. And in the time that he's been there, he has done nothing for any fans that we know, filled us with any confidence he is good enough to be our number 1 keeper. He's had chances after chances, and he's done nothing but mistakes after mistakes. And unfortunately, when you make too many mistakes, it's time to go, or it's time to sit back in the pecking order.
I'll be honest, Daniel, we can't do Strasbourg dirty like that. That is doing Strasbourg dirty. You know what? If I was a Strasbourg fan, I would do a protest just for that one thing. Can you imagine going from Petrovic to Sanchez if you were a Strasbourg fan? Bear in mind the stat that we've just read. Again, those of you who've just jumped on the stream, Petrovic is yet to make any errors that have led to either a shot or a goal. That's incredible in itself. And then you say, despite playing more passes than any goalkeeper in Europe's top 5 leagues. That is the most impressive stat that you can. I mean, it's fantastic.
Absolutely. For a goalkeeper.
We can't do Strasbourg Day like that. We can't. Like, I want to get rid of Sanchez. I really do, but I don't think you can do that. No, I mean, they might, but I think you send Jorgensen out because at least he's young, mate. And the truth is, if you're trying to make any money off of Sanchez, I think you're past that point because he's crap, and everyone knows he's crap. He's going to pay
exactly. I think you got to cut your loss on Sanchez. Unfortunately,
yeah. By playing Sanchez, you're actually decreasing his value because he gets worse every game.
Yeah,
fucking shit.
Exactly.
I mean, it's interesting as well because I saw another comment earlier, but he says he won't be there next season. Goalkeeper is the most critiqued position, and although I agree, he is ass. You need comfort and a pump a goalkeeper up. What? Okay, I'll be honest with you, mate. I don't know exactly what you mean there. Is he talking about Sanchez? He won't be there next. He said he is ass, so I'm guessing he's talking about Sanchez. Was Sanchez supposed to be Kepa's backup? Yes, initially he was, and then obviously Kepa left, and that's what put us into this mess. But there you go. Who knows? Yeah, so that's one of our goalkeepers. That's one of the situations. So we've got Petrovic again. So we've established that this guy is most certainly Chelsea's best goalkeeper at the moment. Now, you've also got Mike Penders as well, who has really gone under the radar, to be quite frank. Now, when he originally signed for us, he agreed a long-term deal at Chelsea. And obviously, we signed him from Genk, and then we've loaned him back. 19 years old when he signed. I think he's might be 20 now. Maybe still 19. I'm not sure. He's got a long-term contract until 2032. Okay, so he's going to be here for at least a while if we don't sell him. And the fee was around £17 million for Mike Penders. Now, I'm trying to see. Yeah, I mean, we've got fucking loads of goalkeepers, man. Loads and loads and loads of goalkeepers. But for me, Penders is a player who he didn't even break into the Genk side that long ago. When we actually signed him, and when the article come out, and I'm reading the BBC at the moment, it says that, he only made his senior debut for Genk in July. and we signed him in August.
Right,
So
yeah. So
we don't even have much to go from based on his experiences at Genk. So that tells you that he's definitely not ready for Chelsea. So that would make sense if we were to loan him to Strasbourg, and maybe do a 2-year loan, which, if I'm not wrong, we did with Andre Santos as well, or it was a year and a half, whatever it was, because he originally had a loan spell at Nottingham Forest. And that's going to be good for his development. And to be fair, I can see that being a player that they flip for a profit. Probably a similar situation with Jorgensen. They try and do something else like that. But with Petrovic, listen, you've got to bite the bullet and fucking play the guy. And then listen, get him to sign a new deal. And what will end up happening is when the club are looking to sell and when they want to make some money, they'll probably offload him anyway. And we'll get a good fee for him. Nice, quality goalkeeper. You get 40, 50 million for him. But get a couple of years of experience under the belt. Get 5 years out of Petrovic. He'd be 30 years old. He'd probably still have 7, 8 years at his peak as a goalkeeper. So, you've still got a player who's good enough for the team. And then that fits into the model as well. Not that I want us to sell him, because obviously I don't. But that's what they're going to do, isn't it? They're going to look to make a profit on a player that they brought in for 14 million, and they're going to try and sell him for 40 at some point as well. But those people were saying, we're going to sell him straight away. If we do that, we're fucked. Like, this club is fucked anyway. Like, I do think that Chelsea are finished, to be quite frank. And I'm reporting this news. I love following the club. I'll continue to follow the club. But you can't sit here and say that the club's in a good position. We are in a terrible position, because we know that the decisions aren't purely based on the football. It's also financial, and that is the most annoying part. Blue Car shook of the Strasbourg Ultras. They protest every game. That's true. That's true. Big up to you. Daniel says Kepa won't be with us. 300k a week, isn't it? But who's going to pay the money? Who's going to pay it? I don't know if he's on 300.
Bournemouth can't afford it.
No, Bournemouth definitely can't. Since 1990, Strasbourg is not a billionaire dollar club. There is a difference. Protests can work at smaller clubs. Big clubs like Chelsea, you need walkouts, boycotts, which will not happen. Interesting to see the different stances on how you handle the situation. I mean, the truth is that I don't think that you will ever have a walkout or a lack of ticket sales, because Chelsea's just too big. If I don't go, somebody else will go, and that's true.
It's too big of a club for people to walk out. I mean, hey, look, it does make a stance, and it does pull in a different. Because I mean, imagine this. Like, imagine if 30,000 of Chelsea fans at the bridge did walk out at a certain time or minute or something like that. Yeah, it would go around the media like crazy and probably be one of the biggest stance in football. The problem is, like you said, Alex, so many people support Chelsea, and there's so many people like that are just, not that they don't love the club or they don't get right into it like some of us do, but a lot of people, like you said, would just pick up a ticket and go, or they won't do that because it's too big of a club for anyone for it to happen. Especially being a London club as well. You could probably think if a Bournemouth were to do it, or even like even a Forest or a Palace, they could probably do it because they're not, no disrespect to them, but they don't have a same amount of people that follow them. The revenue's not as big and things like that. So yeah, you could, but it wouldn't happen with Chelsea. It wouldn't.
No, it wouldn't. And interesting as well, when I look at Mike Penders as well, we were just talking about that. I mean, his stats are actually, it's weird, man. When you look, he hasn't even played that many games. I mean, I don't really understand how it works because there's 2 leagues, apparently. He's got the Jupiler Pro League, and then he's got the Challenger Pro League. So let us know in the comments what that is. He plays in Belgium, right? Is it Belgium? Yeah,
Ghent.
I'm sure.
I don't even know where Ghent.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's Belgium, but I don't understand why there's two leagues. That's what I'm confused about.
Well,
Goals
there's actually two leagues itself, is there?
Well, it looks like it because
Yeah, because it's also saying cup as well. So that's
and this is this is in Belgium, right? So he's been a part of 23 games, 2 yellow cards. Is it 1 red card?
yeah.
Well, what's the difference between that one and the other one? Oh, fuck's sake! I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Maybe that yellow and then red. So probably time thing or something.
No, I think you're right. It goes yellow, then red, and then red. Yeah.
Right. Now, in the 9 games in the Challenger Pro League, he's conceded 19 goals. He's got 1 clean sheet. In the Crocky Cup, and that's obviously in 9 games. So 1 clean sheet in 9, 2 clean sheets in 5, 4 clean sheets in 9. Not the best, but it's okay. And if you actually look at the amount of games he's missed, this is what I don't understand. Like, he's missed a lot of fucking games.
Yeah.
You know, he played 2 at the beginning of the season, and then he's been on the bench. Look how long he's been on the bench for.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This guy's clearly not ready for Chelsea. Clearly not. But he came back into the fold in January, mid-January, and he has still been playing. And they've been winning games, actually, to be fair, since he's come back into the fold. Their form is... it's not, they've been in good form recently, in fairness. And then you look in the Challenger Pro League. This is another league that they're a part of. Very mixed. Sometimes he's in the squad. Sometimes he's not in the squad.
Yeah.
Look at that. There's a lot of games that he has been involved.
Yeah.
And then the Crocky Cup, he's played everything. And they got knocked out in the semi-finals against Club Brugge. So that gives everyone a little bit of context with regards to Mike Penders. Wait, what?
He's obviously not ready.
Just Challenger at the 2nd division and Jupiler is the 1st division. How can you play 2 divisions at the same time? What? That's all this season as well, if I'm not wrong.
First
when
division.
I looked at this is just by this season. This is by the 24-25 season.
Yeah, right.
Again, yeah, he's done all of this. Oh, I'm so fucking confused. How do you play in 2 leagues? I don't get it.
Yeah, that's weird.
Oh, he plays under 23 as well.
Okay. Makes sense, Alex.
Okay. I didn't understand.
Right, so he's played in the under 23s and he's played in the first. Okay, yeah. That does. Yeah, okay. Makes sense now.
So the Challenger is the under 23s.
Yeah.
So that is this one. And he's still okay. Actually, that makes sense why he hasn't been involved as many games recently in the under 23s, because recently he's been playing
in the first team.
Okay. Right. See, this is why we've got to look at this stuff, guys. Because I'm learning on the job as well sometimes. I mean, I love Chelsea, but there's a fucking lot of players to
to keep track of everyone that we've got.
You struggle to keep up with it all. But when we zone in on our goalkeeping situation, then we know that, well, Mike Penders is definitely not as experienced as Jorgensen. So I think Mike Penders is a player that presumably should just be loaned out again to another European team. Or maybe he's given a year to develop at Chelsea and trade at Chelsea, but
do you know what?
I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening.
This is how I would.
So what order would you have, and what would you do with them? Let's start off. The obvious one is Petrovic, right?
Yeah. I would say Petrovic as our number 1. I would then put Jorgensen as number 2 for us.
Okay.
Obviously, if we can get rid of Sanchez, I would. and then you could probably give Strasbourg Mike Penders because, I mean, again, that could develop him. Strasbourg's also a part of us, so we can see how he goes. And by still keeping Jorgensen, we can try and get a bit more of a feel on how he actually is going to develop as a player by playing in cup games, etc. But then having Petrovic as our number one, I would write off Sanchez if we could. If you can't do that, unfortunately, the best way to go would be Sanchez as cup keeper and Petrovic as your first team.
Fuck that. I would never, ever play Sanchez in the cup because we're getting knocked out in the first round every single time. But that guy is crap.
I mean,
what do you want in a cup game, Benny? You just want to know that, listen, you can make it like you want a 1-0, mate, in some of those big cup games. Just get me a clean sheet onto the next one. No silly mistakes. You got a goalkeeper right there who's going to do all of those things.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, I think I'd go with my first thing. I think I'd keep Jorgensen as second and keep Petrovic as number one.
So Petrovic number one, and then you're going to have who? Who was number two?
Jorgensen.
Jorgensen staying at Chelsea then, and then you're sending what? Penders to Strasbourg.
Yeah.
And what are you doing with Sanchez?
Sanchez, he can sit in the candy shop for all I care. You know what I mean? Like that would be my ideal. That would be my ideal situation. Get rid of him. Like he's not good enough. We know that, and that's it.
He's got to go, and
But we know the thing is, we all know that ain't happening, right? So, what is the best scenario? The best scenario is you have to have Petrovic as number one.
What do you think about Tom's suggestion? Petrovic 1, Jorgensen 2, Bettinelli 3, Penders Strasbourg, sell Kepa, sell Sanchez.
Actually, you know what? Out of that thought, at least you're with me and with Petrovic and Jorgensen. I think that's a brilliant idea.
I think it's a good idea as well. So then we ask the question, so how much do we sell Kepa for? And how much do we sell Sanchez for? What is the value on those players?
Right. Kepa.
So we paid upwards of 70 million for Kepa.
Not going to get that back, let's be frank. So
no, definitely not getting that back.
Right. I think now how many years does Kepa have left on his contract?
Not many. Maybe two. Maybe one.
So now, in fairness, we've loaned him out.
Hang on. We signed Kepa under Sarri, which would have been in 2018. He could actually be on the last year of his contract going into the summer.
It'd be good to see if he is. And the reason why I say this is because with Kepa's an easy one where you could probably take 15, 20 mil from Bournemouth. And
fuck, mate, they're not paying 15, 20 mil. 20 million for Kepa.
Hey, you know what? He's been doing all right for him. You never know. What do you think? I mean,
I'd take 10.
Okay, 10. So
honestly, I'd take 5.
Okay, so
no, actually, no, Benny, let me get serious answer. I'll give you 10. I'll give you 10, and I think 10's fair because you got to put the wages into account. That this club's going to have to pick up his wage, and he might end up taking a pay cut, but the club's going to pick up his wage. So I think 10 million for Kepa is realistic. I think that if we sell Sanchez, we'd be lucky to get 5.
Yeah, I don't think we'd get. I'm just going to say 500.
500 quid.
Oh my Lord, that's the problem. Kepa. The thing is with Kepa, right? You can at least he's gone to Bournemouth and performed, and they like him there, and he's starting all the time, and he's had some good games. At least there's something you've gotten out of him. Like, so yes, I think with him, you can get something for him. You might not get a lot, but you get something. And in fairness, we have gotten away with not paying so much of his wages because he's been out on loan here and been out on loan there. Now, coming to Sanchez, my Lord, we're in a well of pain because I don't know where he goes. Who takes him? Like, and unless you're a team maybe coming up from the second division, and maybe they're looking at improving their goalkeeper, I don't know who takes him. And I don't even know how much Sanchez is on, but I'm going to assume it's not.
I don't think his wage is like crazy, but he's probably on like 100 grand.
Oh, there you go.
Money.
I mean,
nobody's paying him 100k at another club.
He doesn't even deserve £1,000.
Man's got to be able to pay his rent, but I know what you mean, Benny. I know what you mean.
If he's on £1,000 a week, he's definitely going to be able to pay his rent, unlike us.
It's actually, yeah, it's weekly, isn't it? It's not monthly.
Yeah,
that makes me think of like an Andy Carroll contract at Bordeaux. He's on like £2,000 a month at Bordeaux in France, isn't he? He's having a great time. I'm not going to say I'm not going to say you should do this, but he's obviously left his family, his kids, and his missus in England, and he's got a new mistress in France while playing in like the 7th division in France. He's having a great time. He's having a great time, mate. And he loves it in France.
You might learn something.
Well, send him over to Bordeaux.
Send him somewhere. Get him away from us. That's for sure.
Hey, man. Is it 60k a week? We could probably ship him off, to be fair, but he'll still have to take a pay cut. Nobody else is paying him 60. I'm sorry, you probably 50, 40, I reckon people would do it. Kepa had a 1-year extension activated until 2026. Fair play. Well, that's a good thing we extended that.
Yeah.
Right. Castillo, he says, hey, Alex, this club is a joke. How bad is this the decision when we actively pushed Petrovic out and have seen both of our keepers this season? Yeah, we are a joke, mate. We are a joke because and we shouldn't be taken seriously. I hear articles from David Ornstein saying he's speaking to other clubs and there's concern about the way Chelsea are doing their project because apparently we look really good and we look like we're pushing we're going to be pushing at the top end of the table. Liverpool are fearful of us. Man City are scared. It's bullshit. Yeah. Nobody's scared. The only people who are scared are Clear Lake's investment that are only going to double their money instead of tripling their money. That's the only thing they're scared of. So yeah, I think it's no, I couldn't agree with you more, mate, to be totally honest with you. Rory says, hi, Alex. I'm pro Maresca because bar his goalkeeping opinions, I'm somewhat satisfied with the overall season so far. Easily the best post Tuchel. Next season, with his signings, could be big. I would argue that Pochettino was better than Maresca because he had a worse squad to work with and he made more logical decisions to get the best out of the players that would perform. And you look at some of the players that were performing for us last season and improving, you could actually argue that a lot of those players have regressed. Some of them have still been good under Maresca, but a lot of them have regressed. I think Gusto has regressed. I think Sanchez, what's his name? Jackson was actually better last season under Pochettino in terms of his improvement. It's difficult now because he's injured, but I think that his hold-up play towards the end of last season was sensational. You don't see it as much with Maresca because of the way we play. Madueke was improving a lot more last season. I think he sort of plateaued a little bit, if I'm totally honest. Not really a huge progression from that side. Cucurella was great under Poch. Caicedo was great, but he's made great strides. I think Fernandez has definitely been better under Maresca. I can agree with you on that. And I think Sancho is not a player that would have suited Pochettino. And Nkunku would have been better under Poch as well. Not to mention his goalkeeping. His goalkeeping decision. And he can get the best out of other players that wouldn't suit Maresca's system, like Disasi, who I know people don't like, but Disasi had some good performances for us. He had some bad ones, but he had some good ones as well. So I wouldn't give Maresca the credit just yet. I would give Maresca the credit if we finish in a better position And by that, I mean fourth or better. It has to be fourth, because fifth is not a progression, because we are out of both domestic cup competitions, and we're playing Conference League, which, let's not take the piss, we're not exactly stretching the squad in that sense, because we rotated so heavily at the beginning of the season. We had such a big squad, and we made the decision to trim that squad. That's fine, but apparently Maresca was a part of that decision. And if that's true, then I'm fucking mind blown. But yeah, my opinion on Maresca is that he can change my mind. I'm not sitting here saying, I hate the guy. I am not convinced with him. And I wasn't happy when he came in the first place. So yeah. Do you have anything to add on that, Benny?
Yeah, I think you're right in a sense of.
Wait, sorry, 1 second, Benny. So again, I'm not saying they were better, but they improved. They have not improved this season. They don't look like. So we look at last season and we see the struggle, and then you see the progression. We start to click. Kukurea inverts. Players combining. Players improving in their individual roles. And what do you see this season? You see regression now. You see players getting worse. You see the system getting worse. You see players capitulating. You see a lack of creativity. You see a lack of defensive stability. That comes down to the coach, in my opinion. The players need to do more, but the coach needs to give them the opportunity to thrive. And I think that Poch was better at that than Maresca. Maresca had a better system. I agree with the system, but in terms of improving individuals, I don't think he's better than Poch. Go on, Benny.
Yeah, I think you're right in a sense of the Maresca thing. It's very hard to judge him now when the season's not finished, because that'll be stupid to say, because if he turns around and gets us third or fourth, like you said, then yes, it is better. Simple as that. But if we were to say that he's made us worse or made us better, I don't think you can say anything at this stage. The only thing I will say is I agree with you on certain players like Gusto and stuff, because Gusto last season, when he came into that squad when Reece James got injured, I actually at some points were actually thinking, maybe this is the way forward now. Maybe there is no room for. I mean, we've always got room for James, but maybe because James he's constantly injured, I was seeing Gusto as he's not a bad backup, and his improvement was massively increased. You haven't seen that this season, but the other thing that does annoy me, and we have regressed in this way, is look at, like, you are right, like, look at this cup run that we've had in both. Now we had a worse team last season. We had players still there that I don't think wanted to be there, Sterling and things like that. You've got, and we did well in the cup. His management in the cup has been poor. I don't understand why he thought it was a good idea to be so poor in the cup and concentrate on the Conference League. I think it's a bit of a piss take. And very.
It was a piss take, mate. Massive piss take. I was in Newcastle, mate, for that game.
I think it was very downgrading to Chelsea as well, because you're a manager of Chelsea, right? Who cares about the Conference League? Like, let's be frank. If we were in the Conference League last season with Pochettino, I still think we would have made the semi-finals and the Carabao Cup final and FA Cup final and the Carabao Cup final, and won the Conference League. Now, Maresca's downgraded us by saying, he wants to focus on the Conference League. For me, that's kind of saying that you've got not a big inability to adapt to your team, to change things, to focus on other things. Like let's just focus on the Conference League and the league. that's a bit of a cop out. Like, look at the other teams that are still in the FA Cup. Crystal Palace, Millwall made it further than us. Like, and I agree with you on that. Like, until the season finishes, I will not say anything about him just yet, but I will say this. The way it's going and what we've now seen in the past 12 games now, 10 games or whatever it may be, I'm really worried with these performances because they're not changing. Anyone could have put 12 men, 11 men out against Southampton and we would have won. Like, I don't, you can't look at that game and go, oh, we're back, because in fairness, any team can beat them. Then we got Leicester. Now, I'm not even confident we're going to beat them. So I agree with you, Alex. I think until the season ends, if we finish fourth, maybe, yeah, I might say, okay, it's a bit better. But
there you go. Well, listen, we're going to wrap it up, guys. And it's been an hour stream. We've got another stream at 8 o'clock later on today. I think I'll be doing that one. Let me double check.
Got to check your schedule, Alex.
Check the schedule, people. Yes, I am doing the evening stream as well. So jump on for that at 8 o'clock. We'll be going through more things regarding Chelsea as well. Benny, mate, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming on as well. Smash the like button, guys, if you haven't already. We've got about 50 of you in there. So let's see if we can get to 50 likes or maybe even more. Yeah, big up to everyone. I will see you in a number of hours and we'll catch up very soon. All the best.
See you later, guys. Cool, Alex.